The endorsements are now raising concerns among some Republicans. Political analyst Rich Rubino joins us now to talk more about this. Thanks for being with us. Now, to get right to it, Nikki Haley has already been very vocal about these endorsements. She says it's not only another attempt to control the RNC and push her out, but she says it's also a cash grab. Take a listen to what she had to say to CNN's Caitlin Collins.
I mean, my biggest issue is I don't want the RNC to become, his legal defense fund. I don't want the RNC to become his piggy bank for his personal court cases. We've already seen him spend $50 million worth of campaign contributions towards his personal court cases. Now we see him trying to get control of the RNC so that he can continue not to have to pay his own legal fees. The problem is that doesn't help us win any seats in the House, in the Senate, or anything else if the RNC is all focused on his legal fees. The RNC is practically broke now as it is. And so
now, Laura Trump has already said every single penny will go toward electing Donald Trump if she's named co-chair. What's your take on all this?
Well, certainly the precedent is that during the primaries, whoever the National Committee chairman is basically stays neutral. And then eventually what happens if the Republican Party nominee does not like the person that's currently in power, you go to the 168-member Republican National Committee and you say, this is the person I want. And generally that is ratified. I think in Nikki Haley's case, what she's afraid of is basically her argument is that the RNC is becoming more Trump-oriented, even though Donald Trump has not yet secured the nomination. A little history with that for that as well. I remember back in 1992, for example, with Ron Brown was chairman of the Democratic National Committee. There was a lot of criticism that he tended to favor Bill Clinton over Jerry Brown later on in the race. But this is what happens, generally speaking. When the president or the presidential nominee, generally speaking, it is their kind of tutelage and it's their people that lead the Republican National Committee. And he's obviously trying to get people in there who are very much fidelitous to Donald Trump's message. But the other thing you keep on hearing, though, with Donald Trump, this is all about Donald Trump. The Republican National Committee's role is not just to elect, and the Democratic too, for that matter, not just to elect president, but also to elect down ballot Republicans everywhere from Senate to House to state representative as well.
And to that point exactly, back in August, former chairwoman of the New Hampshire Republican State Committee and co-founder of the anti-Trump group, the Lincoln Project, Jennifer Horn, was quoted in an article in The Hill saying this: the RNC needs Trump a lot more than Trump needs the RNC. If they lose Trump, then they lose the support of Trump voters and their base for Senate candidates, their House candidates, their state candidates. Do you agree with this statement?
Yes, absolutely. The MAGA base has become the base of the Republican Party. It's actually become the establishment of the Republican Party, which is rather ironic because in 2016, when Donald Trump was running for president, he was the insurrectionist candidate, and many of those MAGA people were seen as kind of in the out. Now he runs the Republican Party. They're now the establishment. Even in the state of South Carolina, for example, where now the governor and pretty much every constitutional officer who was a Republican has endorsed him over Nikki Haley. And if I were Nikki Haley, I would try to present myself as the insurrectionist taking on the Republican establishment. But Trump is now the Republican establishment and the mega part of the party. Certainly whether it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to many issues of domestic policy, they now are hegemonic over the Republican Party, not the kind of former establishment wing that Nikki Haley represents.
I think that's a good distinction there. And if Trump gets his way with these endorsements, do you think this solidifies his further hold on the party as the presumptive nominee for the GOP?
Yes, it's amazing how much power he has over the Republican National Committee, not only with these appointments, but not only with even the committee, with the Republican Party and Republican ideology. Before Donald Trump was president, the Republican Party, basically from every Republican nominee from Eisenhower in 52 to Mitt Romney in 2012, favored free trade. They favored an interventionist foreign policy. George W. Bush even talked about making the world safe for democracy, or making the world safe against tyranny, for example, in 2005 inauguration address. And they wanted more liberal immigration laws. Donald Trump has changed that. They now want more restrictive immigration, both illegal and legal immigration laws. They're economic nationalists. They favor protective tariffs. And in foreign policy, they're a lot less interventionist. What he's really done is he's brought the Republican Party back to the 1920s under Warren G. Harding and Calvin Coolidge, and it's kind of the status quo ante of the 1920s, not the Republican Party from 52 through 2012.
Rich Rubino, we always love your historical insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on again.